day, everybody. We're back again. It is Atlantic Discuss. Yes, it's a new year. It's our second episode in the year, but we're going to do a lot about democracy this year, not just about people in power, but we're going to look a lot about opposition politics, especially in Africa. Why it's important to have vibrant opposition, especially in third world democracy, where we have a lot of repression, intimidation, arrest, and what have you, you know. I mean, understandably, there's a lot of poverty in the land, people compromise a lot, but for development, every country needs solid and vibrant opposition. That's why today we're talking about repression and intimidation strategies, strategies for countering authoritarian democracies. That's why today we invited somebody who, in our opinion, will know a lot about it. His name is Dr. Tanko Yunusa. Dr. Yunusa Tanko, welcome to Atlanta Discuss.
Thank you very much for having me.
Dr. Tanko, is the coordinator of the obedient movement in the entire planet. And of course, he's a past presidential aspirant. And of course, as a member of the Obedient Party campaign and all that, he knows. And today, it's common knowledge that the most vibrant, if not the only opposition we have in Nigeria today, are the obedient. And a lot is happening. Last week, we spoke to Dr. Mo, which you know very well, and we talked about this thing. But I want to take it a step further and higher, because you're on the field now, you're coordinating the entire obedient movement, So what are you doing differently, from before? Over to you, Dr.
Well, the key issue is that breaking from the old order. The old order uses money, intimidation, and kind of brainwashing the younger generation to believe that they are the only one that can be in position of power. They hold the dynasty of their lives. And so we leverage on the youth, cut across the federation. The youth between the ages of 17 and above, even though we mentioned 17, within a certain age, if you're 17 years as of last year, by this year, you should be 18 years, which means that you are eligible to vote. So that means that within that particular age limit, we connect with them and let them understand that they need to build a nation that will be there for them. And so it is not about money. It's not about intimidation. It's about your own life. And now that they've already started yielding to some of those particular messages, especially the messages that resonated with them, with His Excellency Peter Gregory Obi, towards the 2023 general election, it galvanized and mobilized Nigerian youth, close to about 12.5 million of them registering to vote. That is a huge number. And there was no money being given to them to do that. So it's different from the old order, where you quickly manipulate the boys and tell them that this is where you should go. And then if you go there, this is what is going to come to you. So people now have known their left from their right. And they're now ready to move and say, look, enough is enough to all of this, all shenanigans that was happening in the past. And in fact, we want to move it a little bit further. We are even mobilizing and saying that the Electoral Act, as amended in 2010, should be amended now to make voting sacrosanct with punitive measures for those who did not even register to vote. I'll give you an example. In the countries like Indonesia and the rest of them, they make voting as a sacrosanct that you must vote as long as you are a registered citizen to vote. Because how do you explain statistically that we have over 93 million people registered as voters in 2023? And out of the 93 million people that registered to vote, only 23% of that particular population voted, meaning that we were underrepresented even at the polling units. So, but if you make it a point that everybody that's registered to vote or eligible to vote must register and must vote, you may have a large number of voters, which will be very difficult for those who want to manipulate the system to engage in. So we are doing these things and sending messages that resonated with the Nigerian too so differently. Can you imagine? As of yesterday, His Excellency, my humble self, and other leaders and the obedient movement were on the streets We went to IDP camps. We were in Jigawa, in Duse. His Excellency was with the former President Goodluck Jonathan. He was with Olusegun Obasanjo. He was with Ibrahim Babangida. These are things that we do not see in the contemporary day on the daily basis, where on the 1st of January of every year, people will have been sitting in their homes enjoying their chicken and drinking their wines and all. We say, no, there's a state of emergency that needs to be attended to. So these are things that are so different from what you are used to seeing.
Okay, so should I take it that everything you're doing as a coordinator of the obedient movement will still be under the auspices of the Labour Party when it's election time? Or there's a possibility of a merger? Because I see now that there's a lot of inroad into the North. You are from the North, clearly, and I see that you and Mr. Peter Obi are going almost state to state, commissioning borrow, investing money and all that, which is intentional, clearly, because it does look like that's the only part of Nigeria that Peter Obi has to really penetrate. But having said that, is the obedient movement still in cohort with the Labour Party, or you are looking for mergers?
The obedient movement is core to our own survival as a people.
Okay.
It talks about good governance. It talks about principles as persons. It talks about how we organize ourselves. It talks about how we want to be seen in the Committee of Nations. It talks about how we want to be prudent in our spending. So all in all, it culminated into the idea of a good governance. So even if you do not register to be a member, as long as you champion this particular cause, you are an obedient person. Okay. And I keep on saying this, that even in the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as of today, they are obedient members because their quest is for good governance. The idea of us seeing us going up to the North is just to meet and connect with the people. There's a lot of stories and lies being told to our people in the North from the contemporary politicians. But now they are seeing it differently. They look at Peter Obi as somebody who is compassionate, who has empathy, who has the capacity, who is consistent with what he believes. So therefore, there is a synergy now being built with the northern part of the Nigerian people, especially with the Nigerian youth in the North. They need something different from what they used to see. We have leaders who do not care about the living standards of our people all over the country. It's just that probably it is acute in the North. And so this is somebody who is telling you that, look, you could be self-independent with the large population and the numbers of lands and all that God has given to you, turning it around into agricultural produce so that we will not be only consuming, we will be producing and selling this particular product outside the country. Remember, way back then, we used to have the granite pyramid. We had to have the high-end skin. We used to have the cottons and all. Those are things that were bringing in internally generated revenue and bringing in hard currency for the country. But when you look at it now, all of them are gone. We have 14 irrigation dams in Kano, for example. And what are they producing in this particular irrigation dam? Mostly tomatoes and pepper and all. But Peter Obi is saying that, let us look at this particular agricultural livelihood. All those empty plains that goes back outside the country, we can fill them with a lot of farm products. We can produce, and you will be gaining your own livelihood. In my local government, for example, in Skura local government, we produce rice. We have no business in importing rice in this country. If only we could leverage on what is obtainable on the ground. So you see, the obedient movement is changing the life cycle of a common Nigerian thinking. Why we have to subsidize what we consume? Why not subsidize what we produce? So that by the time we subsidize what we produce, we will be earning more for the country. So the obedient movement is being built around building a home for those who believe in this particular project.
So does that mean that? Yeah, sorry to interject you.
Yes, you see, in any politics, you must have a home. If you know what the PDM represents, the PDM is a People Democratic Movement that was built by Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua.
Absolutely.
It is the same movement. It was the same movement that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and the rest of them are enjoying as of today. So what we are doing is actually self-independent movement for our future. By the time we finish mobilizing, we're moving it into any area which can lead us into voting capacity that we can now exemplify what we preach. So the movement is an umbrella of beacon of hope for every Nigerian who desires good governance.
Absolutely. So there was one question there. So what's the relationship with the Labour Party and the Obedient Movement now?
It's a political party.
It's a
political party, which is the vehicle for anybody seeking to vote and be voted for. But of course, the Obedient Movement is a movement who have an ideological belief. There are people who may not want to be member of the Labour Party, but they want to be member of the Obedient Movement.
All right.
And they could belong to any different political party and yet be interested in any of the Obedient Movement. So that is why the Obedient Movement is large in number, because it comes with technocrats, political parties, different political parties, ideologues, and all of them moving into one big home.
All right. So let's talk about Peter Obi's His Excellency's speech, his Independence Day speech. He had a press conference, and it's contrary to his other speeches. It was a bit on the hardline-ish stand, you know, a bit confrontational. He said he doesn't care if it's the last thing he does. The family is threatened and all that. You know, it was more direct than ever. Is that a sign of what we're to see in the future going forward?
Well, we need to take the discourse much higher, because we've come to understand that those who in government are treating us we're not treating us with kid gloves. They are using intimidation, manipulation, and possibly using money, and they are doing it with total disdain, with total no regards to every Nigerian, irrespective of whether you are in the opposition or all. Let me give you an example. A young lady by the name of Wada Hadiza or so was challenging the wife of the governor of Sokoto State, who of course is an APC governor. And they arrested her and beat the shit out of her. Let me not use that word. They beat her to a point of stupor just for challenging the wife of the governor. And the governor forgot that these are the people who voted for them. If they are not happy, they have the right to say it, which is enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Secondly, another lady who was also abducted from her home in Lagos and brought to Abuja just because she challenged the son of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Okay? Delero to me wrote a book and talked about the challenges that we are having within the system, which is supposed to address. But the next thing that you see, he was abducted and taken to Ekiti State. It took the life of every Nigerian to get that gentleman out of the prisons. So you see, we need to confront this particular hidden monster and challenge the system. We need to breathe as a people. Policies that are very, very inimical to the survival of the common man are continually being railed out with no care and no apology. As the last president said, he owed nobody any apology. So you see, we need to be frontal. His Excellency Peter Obi is only coming out to hit the nail on the head without really abusing anybody, but talking straight to the issues.
All right.
We used to buy a bag of rice at 3,500. Today it's almost 100,000 naira. Common beans you cannot eat. Gari is becoming difficult for you to get. People cannot move to see each other from one point A to point B. This is a very serious issue. And the person who will become the president has also sworn to respect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which Chapter 2 said that you must protect the life and property of every Nigerian, which is completely not done.
Absolutely. Let me chip in something. Yeah, based on what you're saying now about His Excellency Peter Obi is now speaking direct to power because of the situation of things. I mean, push has always come to shove, but it's now clear now that Nigerians are really suffering. Nobody should be apologetic about that. That's the reality. Does that now vindicate the like of Kenneth Okonkwo, who felt ab initio that Peter Obi should have taken far more drastic action in the past, dealing with the APC and the government in power?
In the dynamic nature of our politics, every time and every step has its own requirements. At the point in which Peter Obi was talking to his people, he was appealing to them and drawing their sentiment. Now he has gotten it. Then he will take another strategic step of dealing with the issues. So maybe most of our people are not patient enough to get to a certain level. As we speak today, I just left a meeting. I left Duse, from Duse to Kano, from Kano to Abuja, to Kaduna. I just left a meeting now. I was rushing to make sure I meet up with this particular interview.
And you have another one after this, right?
Come again, sir?
I said you have another meeting after this interview.
Of course, immediately after I'm done with you, I have another meeting right now coming up.
Oh, God.
So we are committed in order to get our people out of the wood. Our people are tired. I've been on this particular narrative for more than 30 years. I've been on this. And you'll be wondering, why couldn't I have jumped ship if I'm interested in just getting money? But that's not what we are interested in. We want an egalitarian society that everybody should be proud of. We want a place where every Nigerian will be proud to come back home to add to the system so that we can make this country great. We have the potential, we have the intellect, we have the population, we have the capacity, and the funds are also there. It's just the manipulation and mistreatment of the people that are finding themselves in position of power that is drawing us backwards.
All right, so let's talk about repression and intimidation. Now, I used to say in the past that our elections were free but never fair. I mean, but based on what's happened at the last election, it's looking like our elections are not free and fair. And after the presidential, I think we've had 2 off-season elections, maybe 2 or 3. I remember Edo and Ondo, and now the INEC has not changed. Nothing has changed. So talking about opposition party, PDP is really not there. Labour Party structurally is not. The obedient movement does seem like the only vibrant opposition in the land now. So my question to you is, what are the strategies by what you call opposition parties, civil society, and other well-meaning people to fight this repression, undue arrest, intimidation, considering also the judiciary is derelict, the police are enemies of the people, so to say. So what are the strategies going forward? Because that's the main reason why I want to talk to you. Because the repression, we get reports, people call, my cousin just got arrested, my sister just did, police just, do you understand? People go from Europe home, America home, and people have a lot of experiences, you know, and they have to pay through their nose to get out of there. But you're on ground, you're the politician, you're championing the major, you know, the most vibrant opposition today, you're coordinating everything. So what are the strategies, I mean, for the people that, for the benefit of people that are watching you? How can you counter this? Because it's getting worse.
But we have a population of over 200 million people according to Worldometer. So communication is the key. Speaking the language to the people and making them understand the difference is very important. And so therefore, we are mobilizing ourselves to speak in the language that they understand, using the major languages as a key ingredient of communication, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, and the rest of them. And also with practical example of what is happening within their system, putting up a comparison so that nobody will come and manipulate their minds and let them telling them stories that is not there. Comparing, of course, to make them understand the difference between when they were in 2015 and 2025 at the moment, and what their intakes are. So, and clearly, they are seeing the difference. In the north, for example, I'll give you an example. We used to grind masara, that is corn, maybe with 50 naira and the rest of them, and the family of 4 or 5 can make an intake. Today, you need about 2,500 naira to grind a bag of masara. So you can see the difference. And to even get it, you cannot even go to your farms to even farm insecurity. I just got information, one of my brothers somewhere has been abducted and even eventually has been killed. They are scared of going to their farms. Yes. So these are things that are happening. So the practical example is laying this particular fact on the table for anybody to see. And so therefore you can draw up their minds. It's a strategy. Communication is very, very key. And then 2, making sure that we are everywhere in the local government and in the world level. So that our message, when it's being sent from the center, it goes to the grassroots. So even when we say, okay, this is where we want you to go, they are ready to go there. So therefore, some of the intimidation and arrest that is being meted on our people will stop. It took a lot of vibrant members of the civil society, individuals, the obedience movement, to continuously chanting the cause of free Dele Rotimi that led to that particular freedom that you saw of Dele Rotimi. Now, what we are trying to say is that when the push comes to shove, by the time they see the number of people speaking truth to power, they have nothing left but to do the right thing, otherwise they will be consumed.
All right, go ahead.
So therefore, it's appealing to both those who are at home and away to know that we need to work together as a team to champion the idea of a good governance. That way, possibly some of this misrule will start stopping. And when they see the collaboration, they will know there's a danger ahead and they have to start putting the right peg in the right hole. Otherwise, they may not be there anymore.
All right, let me ask you this. Yeah, there's I'm sure by middle of this year, everything governmental will be done, politicians will be planning for 2027 presidential election, gubernatorial election, which is the way they always do anyway. So my question is it cast in stone for the obedient movement that Peter Obi is on the ballot as a presidential candidate in 2027? Or if there's a merger, he could serve as a running mate to some other candidate, you know? Is it cast in stone that he has to be the presidential candidate?
Well, as far as we are concerned, he's our principal and our principal candidate. And luckily for us, we've been able to sell the messages around the country and it's resonating with the people to a point that no political calculation that is taking place in this country today without you mentioning Peter Obi. None. And so by the time we put everything in place on our own and mobilize our members, you will see the numbers, and the numbers will now showcase to you that, look, this is a reality. And so if you want to win election, or you want somebody that can win and lead this country, the only person that you can take is Peter Obi. And this is not because he comes from the East. This is not because he has been able to put a document that can turn around the fortune of this country within a short period of time. And that is the message.
All right.
We're talking about prudence.
Okay.
We're talking about prudence. We're talking about place.
All right. So let me ask you this, right? When you say owners of Nigeria, I'm sure before the last election, a lot of people would think it was a cliche. There's really nothing like owners of Nigeria, strategic people that control the shop. Now we know it's not a cliche. And I do see that in the last 2-3 days, like you also mentioned, Peter Obi has gone around, met some former head of state, 1, 2, 3 of them, and it's a lot of networking. Is it also reaching out to the powers that be, or like in 2023, was it a mistake not to have a solid arrangement? Because I've spoken to people, you know, who are supposedly in the know that said probably the only mistake Peter Obi made was not to have a solid arrangement with the owners of Nigeria. So is that responsible for the current network in this new year?
During the 2023 general election, we tried to study some of the mistakes that we made, and at the same time, not leaving anything unturned. So when you are moving, you keep on learning in the process. So you add value to where you are. There's a saying in Hausa land that say, "Yaro inkana de kyo kakara de wanka." It said that if in Hausa you say, if you are a fine man, make sure you add buffing up. Take care of yourself so that you can look better.
That's well, yeah.
You understand? So even when we know that we were good at that time, there's nothing wrong with us adding more to it to make us fantastically acceptable to all. So that there are people who may feel threatened that we are leveraging too much on the common person on the streets, and they see it as a danger, and that they are not being carried along. Then in that case, you need to make them feel comfortable that these things is not about intimidation or trying to make your life miserable. No, it's a collaborative effort trying to make Nigeria governable and more interesting for everyone in it. So his visitation is just to meet with people who believe in the country and who wouldn't be happy to see it disintegrate and get to this particular level of decay. You will agree with me, Nigeria needs a messiah to save it out of this particular very difficult situation. Those who think that they are the owners of this country are also threatened, because every day and night, the common man on the street is always looking for food to eat. If they cannot get that food to eat, one day they may come at them to start eating their own flesh. So it's better to run away from having that particular danger, to collaborate with people who have the capacity to turn around the fortune of the country, which is exactly what we are saying. We believe that Peter Obi had that particular fortune of turning around this country to a better country.
All right, so you said that it's a good time to change the law, electoral law, how to vote. You even made a reference to Indonesia, where it's mandatory, for people to vote. Now, how will you make these new laws? How will you change the laws? Because right now, a lot of your members, Labour Party, people that was a former party. I know you run a movement, but you guys, Obi was on that Labour Party, and a lot of your legislators have decamped to the APC. And if we look at the scenario the way it is, those in power will not want anything to change. They want the status quo to remain so that to favor them in subsequent elections, knowing fully well that INEC will do their bidding like they've been doing. So how do you intend to change all those things? How? What strategy are you,
Well, they also know that there's a danger ahead of them not passing that particular bill into law for a reform. They also know, because they know back home now, every Nigerian is challenging any of his lawmakers for doing the wrong thing. They are busy always challenging. So it doesn't really matter whether some of them left the Labour Party and going to do. No, the people that you are representing are saying no to laws that are inimical to their own survival. A case in study is this particular tax bill law that is trying to be passed. The level of resistance that is being shown by the people, especially from the north, some may not understand it and say, why are they not saying so? Because it affects them negatively. And so they have been challenging their lawmakers and say, whether you are APC or PDP or Labour or not, if you don't do the right thing, we are waiting for you. So therefore, it becomes a general issue for them to look at the Electoral Act and see where it will serve a general interest as a special purpose vehicle for everybody. Because at the end of it all, it may affect them negatively. We are appealing to them, and we are also going to use both legal and political methods in trying to ensure that that particular bill gets passed. Meaning that we may be on the street, we may use legal means, because some of the positions that we have taken have already gone through the second reading at the moment now. I'm aware of that. So we're going to continue to push and let them also understand the danger of not passing that particular bill. When they understand that, they will be left with nothing but to pass it into law that will be an advantage to them and then to those who are aspiring to be in the nearest future.
Fantastic. So talking more about repression. Now, before I go back to repression, do you honestly think the North, as a northern Nigeria, Northeast, Northwest, will accept Peter Obi as president of the Republic wholeheartedly? And this has nothing to do with his competency. There's no doubt about it. Peter Obi is eminently qualified without any iota of doubt. But in Nigeria, we play a lot of religion and tribal politics, which is probably one reason why we're where we are, we're retrogressing, so to say. So do you think, after all said and done, if, for example, just like in 2023, Kwankwaso still runs for president, Atiku still runs for president, and Peter Obi still runs for president, do you think the Northern Nigeria will vote for Peter Obi? Because he needs the Northern vote to be there, actually, to get to that presidency.
Well, that is the reason why we continue in our marketing of his candidacy. And truth be told, there are challenges, there's no doubt about it. But then it is far beyond what it used to be. I was just addressing a program in Osogbo just 2 or 3 days ago. And the secretary of the APC he said he owed nobody apology by supporting his presidential candidate or his president, because that is his party and all. And I took a cue from it, and I said, you are very, very, very correct. And so therefore, I too don't owe anybody apology for promoting the candidature of Peter Gregory Obi, because he's my principal, and I believe in what he has as capacity. So it's a market. It's an open market for you to trade and sell your candidate. As of today, in the North, you cannot sell to them Ebola Ahmed Tinubu, with all due respect, because they are feeling the heat. So what is the alternative? When you do the calculation and the math, you will know that probably the South will be saying that this is their own turn to complete their 8 years. And if you're looking for somebody who has that particular capacity, the only person that is there is Peter Obi. And not did he do that, he's already showing that particular capacity openly, whether during election or before election or after election. So the idea is this: you have an open choice to look at somebody who will better your life than to continue in where you are, so that the way you are, that may even lead you to hell. So what choice do you have? So we presented the open choice for our people to look at the differences and then make a choice. So, and I believe as of today, if you are to vote within Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Peter Obi will carry the day. I've not been sentimental.
Okay, fair enough. So let's talk a little bit about repression. I mean, I'll probably start with Dele Farotimi. I mean, the whole scenario was very embarrassing. I mean, I'm sure even those that perpetrated it knew that, I mean, it was a bit on the irresponsible side and all that. But how do we stop such from happening again? I mean, he's on bail, he's out of bail. The case is not over. You know, I mean, knowing these people for what they are, they're still going to coin something. They just want everybody to keep quiet, you know. That's the way I say it, you know. That's why we're talking about opposition politics, vibrancy and all that. But you also mentioned somebody was detained for talking about the president's son, somebody, I mean, I have a list. If I start reading a list of people, I know it's quite a lot. So, but having said that, is there a way, do you have like a department in the Obedient family, a plethora of lawyers that are ready to respond to every case, especially because most of these people are obedient anyway. Most of the people speaking out, youth, vibrant youth. So do you have a department, you know, of lawyers that are ready to respond to these things, irrespective of the states and all that, or you're working on something like that? Can you shed more light into that?
Part of the structures that we are building. We have a department or a directorate that is going to look at all of this. We have volunteers, lawyers who are ready to work and defend the interests of our members. Because we know many of them will be targeted from this particular year to subsequent years. So we will have a team that will be looking at on those particular aspects. These are things that we intend to do in no distance time to ensure that all of these departments are in place, you know, so that we will not have a ready-made team. And so also is in the communication strategy that we will have some of the people that will help in, you know, working in that direction. So we have different directorates that are ready to come up to protect the interests of the Nigerian people, especially the obedient. We are putting those particular things in motion. And we also understand also that it is just a simple attempt to silence the Nigerian people, especially some of us who speak to the power, and then we're going to resist it. But one thing that ought to be known is that the more they challenge this particular youth, the more they get stronger. There's no doubt about it.
So let's talk about international support now for Mr.
Yes.
I know he travels a lot, you know, and he gets some good reception here, this body, that body. But one of the reasons why, I mean, we've seen it, that it's well received, but the president in power now, from what we read here and all that, seem to have the support of the powers that be, the countries that really matters, especially in the Western world. Now, you are an insider in the obedient strategy room, and do you think the powers that be, I'm talking of the Western powers, do you think they will accept an Obi presidency? Because whether we like it or not, they still play a lot of very tactical role who gets elected in third world and strategically African countries. So what's the reception like with them? And is there anything that is being done behind the scenes to warm into their heart also?
I agree. There are those who are even resistant because they know Nigeria can be great with the Peter Obi presidency. They know that. And at the same time, there are those who are sympathetic to him. Very much so. And so what we need to do, they are not going to be the one that will govern this country, but we need to see the purposeful nature of the people on ground first. That one will help them in making their decision in giving the full 100 support or not. We've seen it happen in those years. While we try to reach out to those who are supposed to be reached out to, communicating with some other persons, but then the power that be is actually at home. When we see the population, when you talk about we're talking about 200 million people. We have registered populations of 98 million. When we have 50 million or 60 million of such people, vuvuzeling for one person, you will know that the person outside will be looking at how to tailor his interest to the interest of the person who has been promoted. I don't know whether you understand me. If,
yeah,
for example,
I know.
Yeah,
Vox populi, vox Dei. Voice
yes,
of people, voice of God.
Yes, when we have the critical mass, everybody will be turning towards that particular candidate and say, okay, fine, let's negotiate in this particular area. This is what our interests are. Can you support us in this so that we can support you in this? So we need to put that critical mass on motion right now in the country, which what we are doing. When we get it, the international community, those who we have been reaching out to, will reach back at us, and then we will now build a nation that all of us will be comfortable with. For example, honestly, if you have a comfortable country like Nigeria, where it is producing what it is needed, people like countries like Netherlands, America, and all of them will find favor in us to say, let's do business with Nigeria. Okay, it is because of the level of decay in the system they are taking advantage of what's happening within the country. And we want to change that.
Okay, so I'm speaking for myself now, not our editorial board. I mean, based on my evaluation. I do think that Nigerians, our leaders, are a reflection of who we are. And when I say that with a lot of responsibility, that we vote them in. Doesn't matter whether the elections are fair and fair, because it does seem like we encourage, because right now, majority of people ruling us are the criminals of society. We don't elect our best 11. We're not a merit-based society. So my question there is, are the people ready? But if you look at Ondo and Edo, people were paid. I know they rigged. I've spoken to people from other African countries, especially Kenya, some from Burkina Faso, even Botswana. I said, why didn't you guys fight if you know the election was rigged? We don't even need that much to happen before we go to the streets, that kind of thing. So are the people ready, Dr. Tanko?
Well, at the moment now they are. At the moment now it's very difficult. I'm not saying 100%. I'm not saying 100%. I give you a typical example. When you go to buy something in Kano, for example, I just left home Kano. When you go to buy, when you mention the name of the president, people will almost like stone you or tear you apart. You understand? So there is a resistance already. They have been vociferous about it even publicly on social media. If you go into the social media in the northern part, you will see it. People are tired, they are hungry, they are angry. It may not be total, but I can tell you above 50, the Nigerian people are more than ready. And it will be so difficult for anybody who attempts to manipulate the system. He may not find it funny at all. He may not find it funny.
What if the economy starts improving? The president has said the economy will start improving, that they've done their homework, and that before the end of this year, people will see a change. I mean, that could change the mind.
They cannot be deceived or stung twice. They know it's going to be a political gimmick. They know. People are already thinking about it that no, very soon they said that the petroleum prices will come down to 400 naira. And then the prices will crash. And then you started saying it and all. They know that it's a political gimmick. You've already put their lives in danger. A lot of them have lost their lives. And now you are saying that, okay, you've now reduced it so that you can vote for me and all. It's a deceitful attempt which we will leverage on it and let the people understand. They have nothing to give to the Nigerian people. There's no blueprint, no thinking, no any form of, because you just make blanket position just to get to speak to the gallery. And it didn't work. And so therefore, most of the Nigerian people are already aware of these particular shenanigans that will come up in no distance time. So I believe, because there is no way you will bring the prices of petroleum from 1,100 to 65 naira. It won't happen. It can't happen.
Let me ask you something on economy. I mean, since you are in the know of the Labour Party presidential campaign blueprints, if Peter Obi had become president, you know, on the issue of subsidy, what would he have done differently? How would he have approached it?
Of course, very good. He will have removed it, but with a systematic approach to each one of them. Okay. We've talked about we talked about medulla refineries. The target is that we are not producing this particular petroleum product. Let's start producing, no matter how small we can produce them. And we now reduces the cost of importation. When we start producing at home, it goes pari passu with what is established in and out. So we wanted to have a modular refinery in each of the 6 geographical zones. That would take care of all of those particular arrests that we are having and bunkering that we are having. Okay, and so therefore, we are also interested in actually finding a way to ensure that those who are going to produce, like the Dangote refinery and all, are producing and refining within the country. That will also create a competition. While we'll also leverage on 1 or 2 of the refineries for them to work. But meanwhile, the first short gap station that we will do is getting the Medulla refinery to work within a short period of time. Or 1, 2, 3 months, you could have a modular refinery that can be producing within a low quality, a certain level of production, and the Nigerian people will feel the impact. You see, it's not difficult, it's not a rocket science. It's just that people like to be greedy. They want to export our own crude oil and bring in only one petroleum product to us for the interest of their. They are not doing what they are supposed to do for the interest of the people. It's a different ballgame entirely. Removing the subsidy was not for. Look, a Peter Obi has been a natural economist and is a trader who believes in fundamental of production so that you can be able to gain. A simple explanation is what he has been able to do in terms of his governance in Anambra State by reducing blocking all expenses, loose expenses, and bringing it to the use of the people of governance. A case in study is what he left behind, about how many billions of naira which was used by Obiano to build an airport for people of Anambra State. If he has not been able to block all those leakages, he wouldn't have had such a. So we know the expenditures that is taken in Nigeria, and we intend to block those particular expenditures so that we can use it to put repairs in the refineries and at the same time put those particular medulla refineries in ground. Those are things that are covered in the 72 pages of his manifesto, very clearly stated.
Yeah, but if he had been president, I mean, it sounds like somebody that wants to fight corruption. He seems very much like someone that will cut the cost of governance, actually. But it's also clear that his party, if he had been president, won't have a majority in the Senate and in the lower house. And, you know, like when you fight corruption, corruption fights back, and they probably want to impeach him or impede all the good things or good policies that he wants to perform. Because it does look like those in the legislature, they need money, you know, to get things done. He's not the money-giving type. Then how will the machinery of government work?
The question is, what do people want? They want prosperity, they want comfort. They want to have everything working in their houses. If you put up an electricity, let the electricity work. You want to have water and all. Okay, now you have a president who have put in all of these indices of how this government can work. With all due respect, it's not all of our legislatures that are really that bad. Once you see a purposeful leader who is interested in putting the right square peg in the right hole, I'm telling you, there will be a lot of people that will work with him. Don't forget, he worked under similar situation when he was in Anambra. He wasn't having majority in the House, but yet he was able to navigate and give the people the right kind of leadership, and everybody started turning towards him. So the same simple strategy could have been used to ensure that you yourself exemplify good governance. And people see it in you. Then the next thing that people will do is follow that particular narrative. But because you have a head that has shown gullible nature in generating money for himself and his family and his crony, that is where the people are saying, okay, since the president is stealing, what is left for me to do? I will also steal. But if the president is not stealing and is not doing what he's supposed, he's doing the right thing, I myself am privileged to do the right thing. At the same time, you will be comfortable. The target is for you to be comfortable, and then you are. People will not come and queue in front of your houses looking for money to take care of their children or pay for the birth of their new generation, and then they cannot pay for their children's school fees or eat school meal. They have it in their homes. And you will be free and you'll be more comfortable. So these are the kind of narrative that you will send. And with practical example, then the narration will change. I can assure you it will change.
So where is Dati Baba Ahmed in the scheme of things today?
Well, Dati Baba Ahmed is very much with us. He's still where he is as a vice presidential candidate of 2023. And then he will be making his own contribution as we keep on going.
All right. So, I mean, you will agree with me that for Peter Obi to be president in future, there has to be margins, right? And it does look like the most likely political forces available are the Kwankwansia, who are in the NNPP, and the PDM article people. I would like to use the word PDM because PDP might not be there under their whims and caprices right now, which is common knowledge. So those are the two most likely political forces, apart from some other minor fragment group here and there. Will the obedient movement be ready to work with Kwankwaso and Atiku in 2027?
Our intention and idea is for good governance. Once everybody who believes in that good governance and is ready to play in that direction is welcome to join us. We are ready to assimilate it.
If they want the presidential ticket and want to be vice?
No. When we get to that particular level, we will cross it. We will look at the indices and look at who would you be able to really give us what we need as a country. That is the dynamic of politics. It is when we reach that particular bridge that we will cross it. So but at the moment now, what we are interested in building those who believe in good governance and who are ready for good governance.
So it's not impossible that when you get to that bridge, it's expedient at the time, so we can be running mate to some guy from the north.
A lot of things have to come to play. His Excellency has also said always that it's not about coming together, it's what are we going to come together for. Okay. For him, it's about the interest of good governance, and we are following that particular narrative all through.
Fantastic. So are you going to run for public office in the future, Dr. Tanko?
Well, that is at the moment for me.
I mean, you're all over the place. You know, you're all over the place. You're on the map. Yeah. So it's only fair to ask you. I mean, you're from Kano, right? So
yes, I am.
I mean, you can run for governor of Kano State. So
for me, at the moment now, it's just to market Peter Obi. That is my target. To make sure that the people understand the difference. It's not about religion. It's not about tribe. It's not about the zone in which you come from. It's about capacity and consistency for somebody who has that particular capacity to turn around the future and the fortune of this country. And I believe strongly in Peter Obi, who can do that for us. So afterwards, then we can know how the dynamics change.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yunusa Tanko. Do you have any message of hope for Nigerians? Nigerians are forlorn, they are shattered, they are devastated. That's common knowledge. I mean, it's one of the bleakest Christmas and New Year they've had in a while. So what message of hope do you have for
Keep the dream alive. Keep the dream alive. We are getting closer. Don't lose that particular momentum. We are here to give you that particular platform. Watch us as we move. Support us, and I'm assuring you that by the time we get to that particular position, Nigeria will be a better place for every one of us. Just keep the dream alive.
Fantastic. That's it. You all heard it from Dr. Yunusa Tanko, is the coordinator of the obedient movement in the whole world. I mean, he has said it. There is a Nigerian deal if there's consistency. There are 200 million Nigerians, far more than the negligible percentage of population of the politicians. So all the people have to do is steadfast, know their rights, and vote. And the vote must count, you know. And it's a major indices that has to be fulfilled in any free country. The people's vote must count. We've been saying it for a long time. Nobody really cares who rules if the people's vote counts. Nobody will, you know, every 4 years we go back to the ballot, but the vote must be, you know, must be free, must be fair. I mean, we've invested so much money on technology, and the technology wasn't even allowed to work, you know. And the police, of course, harassing people all over the place doesn't speak well of us. no investor will come to a country where even the indigenous people are not free to do business, you know. So that it's going to be a wrap today. Dr. Yunusa, thank you. We're going to bring you back again subsequently. Thank you for your time. And please let me allow you to attend to your meeting. Thank you so much. Bye. It's a wrap then. See you all next time. It's Atlantic Discuss. Thank you for your attention. 7 continents, Antarctica, Happy New Year. Europe, Happy New Year. Africa, Happy New Year. Asia, Happy New Year. North America, South America, all of you, Happy New Year. Bye. See you next time.
Happy New Year to you, and thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
God
Thank
bless
you.
Thank you.